It's a straightforward change of wet to dry or dry to wet tyres, and because time is limited, we have only the option to reduce preload front and rear. In the rear, we can do very quickly by removing a spacer, and in the front, we do with the preload adjuster.
As a rider for the rain, everyone has their own preference. I like a bigger knee slider, so we'll change that, a clear visor. I think the hardest thing with Superbike is we have a flag to flag, so the conditions can change. The sun could come out, and with a clear visor it could be difficult, or it could dry up, and it's just about finding a balance between everything that works as a rider and with the biking team.
The changes are based both on the rider preferences and also on the crew chief experience. You get to know from working with a particular rider what their preferences are in the wet. Most riders tend to like the bike to behave in a similar way, wet and dry.
What makes a rider good? That's a really good question. I don't know. I think some people have had more experience in the rain than others. Coming from the UK, for sure, we've had a lot of wet weather practice, which can help, but I think it's more about just trying to stay calm, stay relaxed, and just trying to understand the conditions. Every track is different. Some has higher grip level, some has lower grip level, and just trying to remain calm and find that feeling, and yeah, remaining calm, I think, is the biggest one. I think some people have had more experience in the rain than others. Coming from the UK, for sure, we've had a lot of wet weather practice, which can help, but I think it's more about
welcome to the red carpet.
Stay calm, stay relaxed.
Welcome to the Music Awards.
Every track is different.
Round event. Yeah. This is
US Smash 2026.
This is where the race begins.
From the first lap to the last corner. Every race matters.
Every moment counts.
No, just adrenaline.
All in. This is
MotoGP.
This is where the race begins. From the first lap to the last corner.
During my years of World Superbike, one of the biggest changes has been how short the braking zones are now, because we're braking so late. A combination of the braking system plus electronics, this is where a lot of the lap time has been improved over the years. This means you're always on the limit of braking, you're always trying to brake in the latest point. This puts a lot of stress on the braking systems. So important the brakes are working well, and obviously it's the main place where you can pass other riders, so super important.
The front braking system is composed by master cylinder, 2 discs, 2 calipers, 4 brake pads, 2 for each caliper, and on the left side of the front end we had also a clutch and a thumb or index master cylinder, but that activated the rear system.
If you go into a really hard braking circuit, the normal things you would change is maybe either larger discs or thicker width on the discs, which, you know, spreads the temperature a little bit more and allows you to have more of a constant brake lever during the race.
We have 3 types of discs. We have the high mass, medium mass, and low mass disc. This is a high mass disc. Is thicker than the other. Is inner diameter. They have the fins. This is out to dissipate heat and increase the thermal capacity. It's categorized like high, like Donington, Balaton, and Manicure. This is low. This disc is the thinnest one, is a very, very low mass disc, has not fins as you can see, is used in very low severity racetrack. A low mass disc has been used in Phillip Island and Hasil, for instance. And this is a medium disc, is thinner than the high mass disc, obviously. Has also the fins inside, just to increase and dissipate the heat. The medium is used in the rest of the racetrack. At the beginning of the season, we send the maintenance manual with the categorization of the racetrack. So for each racetrack, we put from the lowest severity to the top, and we suggest the disc is better to use. Then, during the race weekend, after F1 for instance, we check with the engineer, analyze data, and check what's the best. If the range of temperature is correct, we leave it like that. Otherwise, we suggest to change and to put different discs, or put air duct for caliper, or cover calipers like AKSI.
I think the main thing you're looking for in braking is confidence. Confidence that you can stop the bike, put the bike where you want. We always say, or many people say, when you're learning to ride, for example, you want to feel on the throttle between your right hand and the rear tyre. And this is the same for braking, between the brake lever and the front tyre. Now, if you have a good confidence on stopping the bike, and you feel that when you're playing with the brake, you can feel the front tyre moving and how to get the bike to the apex. When you get this, which is not always, but when you have this good confidence, good feeling, this is the perfect situation for
The sport bike category is actually like a little brother of the World Supersport category. So it's based on the same theory of using balanced performance and controlling the performance of the engines to take a lot of different motorbikes and put them into one race. The decision to move from World Supersport 300 to the new sport bike category is multifold. So there are certain aspects. It was important for us to develop the riders further. So having a faster motorcycle develops the riders' skills and makes the step to the Supersport category a little bit smaller. So hopefully they can make that step. But also we need to look at what's selling on the road. And the category, the sport bike category as a road bike category, is a developing marketplace, and it's certainly overtaken the World Supersport 300 category. So it was important that we race what gets sold on the Monday. So there are multiple aspects to make the move to the sport bike category. When it comes to the balancing of both the Supersport Next Generation category and the sport bike category, there are multiple factors, multiple pieces of information that get used to calculate the performance of the bike.
The balancing of the sport bike was approached like Supersport Next Generation. We have two kinds of homologation. Homologation phase 1 is a standard motorcycle, and homologation phase 2, it is a dyno test in our partner when we test already Supersport Next Generation. The factor we will modify for arrange balancing will be the weight, combined weight, the TPS limitation, and the RPM limitation. For monitoring the BOP during the season on sport bike motorcycle, we will install on each motorcycle, to each manufacturer, some system where we have some recording, some data channels with one GPS 25 Hz to see acceleration and all. After that, after each session, we collect all the data, and we give this data to an external company to control it, to make us a report. And in case of some overshooting or imbalance, we will adjust the balance of performance.
A new era about to begin. The first ever FIM Sport Bike World Championship race gets underway.
For 2026, I expect that we're going to see a lot of new riders being developed. So riders that were really strong on the World Supersport 300 might not necessarily be the people that shine on the sport bike, but talented riders always rise to the top. So that's going to be really exciting to see how teams and riders can develop to ride the slightly more powerful motorcycle. If we look at the national championships, for example, British, Italian and German championships, the racing's been very close and exciting, and we've seen a big mix of different bikes winning. So hopefully we'll see more of that here.
The expectation is to have, let's say, more manufacturers involved in this category, and really a nice racing show on the track with different motorcycles.
It's easier to say what is not new. It's a new generation bike for us, so we completely revised the project with an improvement in the aero packaging, in the ergonomics, and also a new chassis layout. The experience is always the key for the improvement and also give us the direction.
The first impression of the new Panigale for sure is good. It's a completely new bike, and I believe a lot in what Ducati did during this winter. When you see it, you feel a little bit the body position is a bit different, and then when you push, you feel the swing arm, you feel a bit less nervous than last year.
The weakest point of the old bike was the rear, let me say, suspension and layout. So for this reason, we put our experience changing completely the layout of the chassis, especially the rear of the bike is evident with the new double-side swing arm.
The bike is more stiff, in the acceleration is moving less, and also help you to stop a little bit better. You can brake harder.
We have the possibility also to make a step on the aero package that give us better performance in turning and the stability of the bike.
The only problem now is try to turn a little bit better, but I think it's just because we didn't make a lot of kilometers.
We save some weight in the sprung mass. That is really important in terms of getting the best from the tire performance. We stay in our philosophy to try to get the best from our experience in racing and try to put as much as possible on the street bike, because we achieve what are the limits.
The story continues in Shanghai. Oh, spins it round! Side by side! Around the outside, Balap off onto the curb! It's absolutely brilliant! In China, it's a 1-2 for Diaz Penske!
This guy is seriously dangerous.
Cassidy on top, fantastic! Who will be first in the Far East?
Good afternoon and welcome live trackside for what is the third round of the 2026 FIM Harley-Davidson Bagger World Cup, which comes from the legendary TT circuit Assen in the Netherlands. We have plenty of iconic circuits on the calendar, having started stateside in Kota and then tackled Tuscany at Mugello. And we still have got 3 rounds remaining, meaning that this is the halfway point of the inaugural season of action. Championship as it stands has Archie McDonald at the front, 3 points ahead, 9 ahead of Oscar Gutierrez. Jake Lewis sits 4th ahead of Filippo Ravelli, Corey West, and our most recent race winner, Andrea Iannone. Travis is next ahead of Cody Wyman, Dimas Ega Pratama rounding out the order. Some news coming into the round is that Joe Rascal Racing have parted ways with Cody Wyman, and a very familiar face is in for him. Jordi Torres debuts this weekend as he gets down to business in the Bagger World Cup. There's a couple of familiar dulcet tones in commentary too. You're up in the company of myself, Kiko Giles, and Neil Morrison for what is qualifying coming up here at Assen with a sun-soaked crowd ready for some Harley-Davidson action. Neil, round 3 of this brand new series is well up and running. Qualifying, it is crunch time. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you as well, Kiko. Great to be here at the Circuit Assen, and you can see the grandstand's not quite packed to capacity at this very moment, but I'm sure over the course of this qualifying session they will start to fill up underneath the roof of the grandstand. The most popular spot here in the Netherlands, because we have temperatures expected to reach around 36, 37 degrees centigrade here this afternoon. It is punishing Weather that we have here in the Netherlands, not quite what we were coming to expect, not quite what you associate with the Dutch TT either, but what a great place for the baggers to come. First time we see these bikes in action. Well, the first time was yesterday, but the first time on screen we'll see them is in this section coming right up.
It's been really hot this weekend, hasn't it, Neil? I mean, it is slightly ludicrous that we are at our most northerly destination in the entirety of the MotoGP calendar, and we have experienced real field temperatures of 40 degrees. We're going back with suntan and in some cases sunburn. It's been unbelievably warm up here in the Netherlands. We have had action, as you said, yesterday as well, FP1, FP2. Eric Bernardo, a 1:41.599, the reference time ahead of Oscar Gutierrez, and Jay Iannone on his comeback to Assen on a 42.5. So 1 second covering the top three, and this is our look at the most recent Bagger World Cup winner with a fantastic helmet saying kind regards, which is also on his Assen as well.
It is indeed Andrea Iannone. What a spectacular return it was to the MotoGP World Championship paddock. Iannone was in great form after his victory at Mugello. When was that? About 4 weeks ago. And yeah, just great to have him in the paddock. We need big characters in this series. Harley Davidson, I think, likes to have big characters, and Iannone most certainly is that. And you have to say, Iannone, after his performance in the first round of his season, the second round overall, is actually going to be a real contender, isn't he, for this World Cup Championship at the end of the year, because with the fourth place in the first place, he showed that he has got the speed to fight with the best of them.
He has got the speed to fight with the best of them, as has this rider here, Archie McDonald. Worth noting, the Joe Rascal team will have a special livery. That's not Archie McDonald, I'd say, that's Jake Lewis, but the Joe Rascal team do have a special livery this weekend, and it is very much close to Archie McDonald, who obviously lost his brother. We touched on this last time out, Toby McDonald, due to mental health. Of the team this weekend running a special livery in support of the push-up challenge, which I know is something that Archie McDonald is doing throughout the next few weeks and months in order to raise funds for mental health. And yeah, so far, so very good. Do check out Archie McDonald's Instagram page and all his social media, and you get the full story.
Yeah, absolutely. Really nice for Joe Rascal Racing to be running that special scheme here this weekend to raise some money and raise awareness as well for some charities with Push for Better, I think is the name of the charity, who look to raise awareness for mental health. And just have to say, great, I think the way Archie has looked at himself since that personal tragedy has been really admirable. And yet there you can see the number 69, the number 51, Eric Bernardo as well, his teammate in revised colours with the yellow and black on the side of their bike. It hasn't been a straightforward weekend, has it, Kiko, for that team or for Archie McDonald. He had a massive crash yesterday, which actually brought out the red flags, and he certainly is not anywhere near fully fit coming into qualifying day. No,
it was quite a big one. I think it was out towards turn 6 and 7, wasn't it, at the end of the Wienschlang, where they're just coming down now. The fast turn right, the fast turn 6 and 7, the right-hander into the left-hander. Archie McDonald's Instagram, he had all the pictures up there. I did look through my fingers for that one, because he has got some serious scuff marks and burn marks all over him. So hopefully everyone keeps it wheels up. We also had another crash that brought out the red flag yesterday for Veda Ega Pratama in the Nitty GP racing team. He had another fast crash, and really the Bagger World Cup, they are definitely finding a limit here at Assen. The track temperatures for them yesterday was probably and arguably some of the worst of the day, because it was so greasy out there, Neil.
Yeah, we saw quite a lot of crashes in all the categories yesterday, Moto2, Moto3 and MotoGP as well. And yeah, this Baggers World Cup was no exception, but great to see the number 69 of Archie McDonald out on track here in this session despite those injuries. And he said he's just going to have to grit his teeth and try and bring some points on the board. I think it is already a bit of a damage limitation job for Archie this weekend.
Not the birthday present that he was hoping for. Turned 20, I believe, just last week, 22nd of June. So, well, last week, this week, all the same, really. Archie McDonald now 20, cracking on a little bit, isn't he, Neil? I jest, of course. He's one of the youngest, if not the youngest, out there.
Yeah, he certainly is. Great to see the number 81 back on our screens.
100%.
Jordi Torres, who has joined the Joe Rascal Racing squad. As Kiko mentioned at the start of the broadcast, number 81 was originally down to race in this series from the start in Kota, but some last-minute sponsorship issues meant that the team he was originally supposed to enter this championship with wasn't able to go racing, so Jordi had to watch from the sidelines. But then this opportunity became available, and Jordi jumped at it with both hands. He's had limited experience on one of these Harley-Davidson bagger machines coming into this event. I think he was in Oschersleben in Germany last week, where he had to get some kilometers on the board before he jumped straight into the World Cup. I think it was a limited amount of fun. He said to us on Thursday around 20 laps, or maybe just a little bit over that. So Jordi's still very much getting up to speed with these machines, but he's been no slouch over the weekend so far. He was fifth fastest yesterday in FP2, and Jordi coming to Assen, a track he knows very well from his days in Moto2, World Superbike, and of course Moto E.
Yeah, 1:43.578 was the time that Jordi Torres was able to lay down yesterday, so just keep that in mind for a reference time as we have a look at Filippo Ravelli sliding on through the number 27. This is fast on one of these bagger machines as well, fast and heavy. That's been one of the problems with these crashes. The bikes have got so much momentum, really, when they are barrel rolling through the gravel trap. That's why we've had a couple of red flags, because of air fences and the like, and bits of bike everywhere. So these things are fast anyway. They're very, very fast and heavy round here, so just keep an eye on any misdemeanors that we do experience out there. Already straight down to business at 1:41.413. I make that the fastest time of the weekend. That's not the biggest surprise, I've got to say, because we are of course getting faster and faster the more time and track time that these guys have on the bikes at these new circuits that these bikes have never been to before. There's no reference from the King of the Bagger series over in the States.
Yeah, and just 2 sessions for these guys yesterday, so every session you do expect that kind of incremental improvement as they get up to speed at the particular scope on this bike, on this setup. Eric Granado has just gone fastest with the 41.2. Again, that is the fastest time we saw this weekend, or we have seen this weekend so far. Granado, for what it's worth, was nearly a full second clear of Gutierrez and Iannone in yesterday's FP2 section. He has been pretty much the rider to beat so far, so it will be interesting to see whether Granado can back up what we saw at Mugello, where he was so strong. He has had 2 pole positions from 2 rounds so far this season. He's looking to make it 3 from 3 here today. Indeed,
he has been really fast, and as far as qualifying has been concerned in 2026, still though yet to really make it count in the races, as we clap eyes on Oscar Gutierrez, who's slithering through the snake section at the end of this track, and now down towards Ramshoek and what will be the final chicane. Well, we've seen plenty of chicanes deciding races here at Assen. It has been the iconic final sector, the iconic final chicane here at Assen. Obviously the baggers here for the first time, but I wouldn't be too surprised if later on we do see a big battle going down into there. Will it involve this rider? Andre Iannone at the moment is 4/10 under the best time at the moment. This will put him into the 140s if he's able to hold it the first 140 that time of the weekend, and indeed he does. A 140.970. Andre Iannone is on provisional pole after the first 5 or so minutes of this session.
Yeah, Iannone absolutely smashed the second sector, which is on the Wienslang through those fast right and lefts. One of the most physical points on the entire calendar, you feel. Just the speed you're going, the way you have to throw the bike around at such high speeds, close to 150, 160 miles an hour. Iannone well versed in that from his days in World Superbike, of course, and in MotoGP. Iannone on course here for a maiden pole position in just his second round in this Baggers World Cup. He's got a special crash helmet. He could well have a special result here, but it's far from over, because we have some riders going quickly, especially the riders on our screens. Jordi Torres is looking to improve on 5th. We've got a red crash helmet for Eric Granado on our timing screens as well.
It is worth noting for Andre Iannone, as you say, Neil, has been here recently at Assen with World Superbikes. It's not like when he came back in Mugello 1 that he hadn't actually been to Mugello for so long, at least in World Championship and competitive levels. But Andre Iannone has had recent experience here at Assen. It wasn't particularly the highlight of his season in either year 24 or 25, but he's got plenty of experience around here. If I remember correctly, a Moto2 pole sitter here, I think back in 2010. He's definitely got the pace, he's definitely got the experience around here. Look at Eric Granado though, he's got the experience as well. He was pretty handy around here in Moto E. He's coming through Ramshoek. This is the run down towards that final chicane. And then Eric Granado, as out of shape as it all looks, he keeps it tight. Through part 1 and 2 of the chicane, out across turn 18, over the curve, and now over the line as he goes for his... Oh, yes, he does, and he finds a lot of time in that final sector. 140.655, the goal posts move once again.
Yeah, you almost switched into Dutch there for a minute. The goal posts. Eric Granado, nearly a full second faster than the times that he was doing yesterday in FP2. We really are seeing some impressive performances here. Granado and Ian raising the bar in this Baggers World Cup so far in this qualifying session. There's a replay of Archie McDonald coming through the GT chicane.
Oh, yes, ride it, cowboy, right out over the curves, light it up and carry on as if nothing happened at all. Brilliant stuff for Archie McDonald. That 69 was sideways on there. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. McDonald at the moment is 7th place. You've got to say, Neil, it's amazing. He crashed yesterday. We didn't see it, but we saw the outcome of it, and he is hurt.
He is hurt, yeah. And it wasn't just the fact that he's roughed himself up and beaten himself up in that crash. He also wasn't able to make it out and set a time in free practice 2 yesterday. This is the first time that he's been here to the TT Circuit Assen. It is a very technical circuit to learn, and while he's shown real ability at doing that at high speed in our previous visits to Kota and Mugello, when you yourself a little bit like that on a Friday, it's going to be a big disadvantage. So Archie McDonald really up against it here this weekend.
Been chatting to some of the rookies across Moto3 and Moto2 that are likewise coming here for the first time, and they all say the same thing, particularly the ones in Moto2, that all the other tracks they seem to be able to work it out quickly and reference, and they've got braking markers and the like, whereas here Assen is a circuit predominantly based on feel, on flow, on how you are at one with the bike or not so at one with the bike, and particularly for the likes of Jose Antonio Ueda and Ty Fumasato, who've made that big step up from Moto3 and Moto2, to see how impressive they've been with all this, so much more horsepower, Neil, in Moto2 around here. It has been a big kudos to them, and to relate that to where I'm going, to see Archie McDonald there in 7th, never been here before, no experience around here before, that is very, very impressive considering what also happened yesterday.
Yeah, it really is. Actually caught up with Archie on Thursday and was asking him, how do you do it? How do you turn up to a track and learn it so quickly? And he said it's just a case of watching as many videos, onboard videos, as possible, and just trying to have almost that muscle memory before you've even set foot on the track before, where it seems kind of natural. You almost know exactly where the pitch-in is and where you have to get on the acceleration. So he's been certainly doing his homework so far this year, and he will need to lean into that that research when he goes racing later on today. We have a slightly revised schedule for this weekend. Race 1 will come up this afternoon after the MotoGP Sprint, and then we've got race 2 tomorrow afternoon rather than tomorrow morning after the MotoGP race. So once MotoGP is over on Sunday, you'll want to stick around because Baggers Race 2 will finish off the weekend.
Yeah, exactly that. We get underway around 4 o'clock later with the live coverage for race 1, and then tomorrow it's well late. We have to scroll through a few pages of the schedule and running order to find where we're on, Neil. It's at 3:20 local time, lights out for the race, which is over 9 laps here at Assen at 3:30. So we'll be well into the media scrums for MotoGP by then, but we'll be up here perched in commentary, bringing you all things FIM Bagger World Cup related. So as the fans flock in, it's a massive weekend of Dutch motorsport. It is one of the, if not the biggest outside sporting event on the Dutch calendar in 2026. So really good to see that on the debut for the Bagger World Cup here at Assen, it is a good crowd that has stayed behind, even if we are technically in the lunch break for everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we said at the start of the broadcast, a lot of people will be trying to take some shelter just because the heat here is so strong. Not necessarily used to temperatures in excess of 30 degrees in this part of the world, or in most parts of Europe, to be fair. But it is proven to be a bit of a challenge for spectators as well as riders. And just a quick overview of what we've seen so far. Granado leads Iannone by 0.3 of a second. Then we've got Gutierrez 0.7 back. Filippo Rovelli doing another fine job in 4th, 1.3 off the provisional pole time. And Jordi Torres, first qualifying session in this category, is currently 5th. So decent job there for the Spanish Elvis.
Just worth noting, Neil, that back on temperature front, we're well versed adjust to hot temperatures because there's a lot of hot air normally around us in the commentary box. Carried on, 8 minutes just under to go, and plus a minute or so at the end of it with the flying lap that will still be alive. We have got the Bagger World Cup. This is crunch time really now. 1:40.655 is the reference time, but you just know that there's a little bit more left in it. I'm not sure whether we'll get down to the 1:39s. That might be an ask too far, but 1:40.655, it is still the fastest time of the weekend thus far as we light it up and down the Bienenstock with Jordi Torres, who is half a second off through that first split. At the moment, 3/10 split Granado and Iannone. It's another 4.5 back from Iannone to Gutierrez. That's your provisional front row thus far. And then in fourth, fifth for Jordi Torres, who we're watching on your screen. And Travis Wyman there in sixth place. McDonald back on the seventh row of the grid ahead of Veda Ega Pratama. Both of those were crashes yesterday. Jake Lewis, who is fourth in the championship as things stand, is ninth. Corey West there in 10th place, but there's still a lot of time left in this session, particularly for fast lap times.
Yeah, there certainly is, and pretty much to a rider there have been significant improvements on their times from yesterday. Oh, as Jordi Torres gets it lit up coming through the final part of this track here through that double right section. Goodness me, he's done very, very well to keep it rubber side down there. Well, number 81 is finding the limits on this bike, and he was absolutely at the edge of them just there.
Yeah, that number 81 was almost an 18 because it was almost upside down. We're going to have a look at it here, I'm sure. Asking for the power. There's a lot of power in these Hardy. Look at that, out wide, bringing it back across, asking for the power, stepping out and riding rodeo. Jordi Torres, well, he might have missed Kota, but he definitely put it out there on the track here at Assen, hasn't he?
Yeah. Jordi Torres was always spectacular, wasn't he, when he was in Moto2, World Superbike and Moto E. He has a good record around this TT circuit Assen in years gone by. 5 podiums here in the Moto E category. And yeah, looking to put that experience into good use. You could you have to imagine, Kiko, Torres will probably be looking at what Andrea Iannone did at Mugello and thinking, well, Iannone can do that. I can maybe do something similar, especially considering he has such recent experience around some of the tracks that we're going to in the Moto E category.
Yeah, you've got to say that Jordi Torres is perhaps not quite the same profile as Andrea Iannone, but he's definitely been fighting for titles as recently, or sorry, more recently than Andrea Iannone. We'll just have to wait and see exactly how Jordi Torres does adapt. At the moment, half a second off through the second sector, so he's finding time every single time he goes out there at the moment. How far off is he at the moment? He's 8/10 off Filippo Rivelli and just over a second off the front row. So Jordi Torres, with each passing lap, is going to be getting more and more up to speed, and we've seen in races as well, Neil, they can also be different. The races, yes, we have some slightly larger gaps in the Bagger World Cup qualifying session, but as far as races are concerned, it can be close on the opening laps.
Yeah, exactly. When you have a rider just up ahead of you, that is a really useful reference. You can just into their slipstream and tag along a little bit, especially if there is some battling up at the front. I'm sure Jordi will be hoping to do that from a place on the second row of the grid as he jumps up to fourth, just 1 second off Eric Granado's pole time. And you have to say, after such a limited amount of time on these bikes, to be just 1 second off Granado at this stage of the season for Jordi Torres is pretty good going.
Yeah, Jordi Torres is right there. He's knocking on the door of the top three, and he could do a lot worse than actually just follow them for the first few laps of this afternoon's race one and learn how the others are adapting to these big bagger machines and exactly what they're doing that he hasn't yet worked out yet by virtue of just not having enough time on the bike. We pick up Andrea Iannone this lap so far. Nothing to really write home about. Iannone. He's on for P2 as things stand. Just have to wait and see where this lap puts him. The last half of this lap is a big area where you can make up a lot of time by virtue of bravery, Neil.
Yeah, it really is. It's all about whether you have comfort, whether you have stability as well. And in some respects, the size of these bikes might actually help you just a little bit through here to keep everything a little more stable. You see in some of the lower categories how unsettled the bikes can be through Hoka Higher, that really fast switch of direction before pitching into the left of the Ramshoek as he breaks down into the GT chicane. I don't think this is going to be that will trouble Eric Granado's provisional pole time at present. He comes across the line and he loses further time. He was box office on track at Mugello. He was box office off it as well when he came to speak to us after Kiko in his celebratory media debrief. He was as fun and as charismatic as I can ever remember him. He was throwing down challenges to all sorts of riders. You should come and race in this series, he was saying. Casey Stoner, you love bikes with no electronics, with no electrical aids. Get yourself into this class. Valentino, get out of retirement. Come and join us here. So Ian Oney wants to see some more retired MotoGP stars in this category in the future, and I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, if Valentino or Casey Stoner do want to pop along, then do just put your name down on the entry list. We'll try and squeeze you in, but I'm fairly sure we will welcome you with open arms. It'll be good fun as well. These bikes are fun to ride. There's a lot of electronics on it. They are slightly more developed than Absolutely Zero, but a lot of it is still in the right wrist of the rider as Archie McDonald slides on through Movement Mir, and this is through Hogger Hyder now, as you were saying, Neil, that fast ride through Ramshoek, and then it is the Gert Timmer chicane where many a race has been won or lost. McDonald is not really on a flying lap. Gutierrez was almost flying himself coming out of turn 9 then. That was the Bolt, and now he's coming through all the way through the fast stuff. Gutierrez is in touch here, less than 2 minutes on the clock remaining. Let's see what Oscar Gutierrez has got. Just goes away from him in that third sector. So again, Oscar Gutierrez a little bit of time in the second half of this lap, and he's only going to have one more flying lap until we get to see who it is going to be on pole. At the moment, your provisional pole is Eric Granado, and I can tell you he's in the pit lane, so he's not going to be improving time at all. It's a land of opportunity for other riders here. Gutierrez and Iannone across the line, no improvements that time around. This is their final flying lap.
Yeah, it's going to be a big ask to get up and make up 0.8 of a second almost to Eric Granado. You can see the Brazilian is getting ready to go out, but he won't be setting another flying lap in this session. It's 40.655 for him or bust. I would imagine that will be enough for pole position, but let's see what the likes of Oscar Gutierrez can do on this final lap. Gutierrez wasn't here actually last year because he was injured after the first round in the MotoGP World Championship, so he's a little bit ring rusty coming back to Assen after a year off. Not that you would know it, as he sits currently in third position. Iannone just behind him, and you can see Iannone's not far away, but just not quite on that same level as Granado.
Not yet. Let's see if he can make up any time to the rest of this lap. So far, it's all grey coming through Sector 2. We are 30 seconds from the checkered flag in this one, and judging by our timing monitor, Neil, there's not many personal best nor session best sectors. We've got a personal best first sector for Corey West. He's down there in 10th place at the moment, so he's looking to try and get himself on the front 3 rows. Oh, Andrea Iannone asking for all the power coming through turn 11. He is sliding it. He's definitely having fun with it. This just might not be the fastest way to get around here at Assen, but he's in touch, Neil, lap after lap. This is very good for the race coming up later on.
Yeah, this is very consistent, and Iannone did lose a bit of time in that final sector when we saw him on a previous flying lap. He gets it stopped nice and tidily into the final chicane. You can see using the throttle to turn on the exit there. Iannone comes across this line. Will it be pole position? It will not. He loses out another couple of tenths, but second on the grid, by no means a disaster for the number 29.
Very strong stuff from Andrea Iannone there. P2 for him. Oscar Gutierrez is going to be third. I don't see anyone else who's out there. Archie McDonald is making a good fist of it here. I've got to say, personal best first sector, half a second off the fastest outright, which is done by Eric Granado, and he's in touch through the second split. So Archie McDonald, if we can hold that, we'll go on to the second row of the grid for sure.
Which would be a great result considering what happened yesterday.
Brilliant result considering yesterday's crash. Jake Lewis, the Snake, is also on a lap here, 1.2 seconds off Eric Granado's time. That would also move him right up the grid. So we're going to have a couple of changes on the second row. I think the front row is all about set. Eric Granado is going to be on pole, barring a second half of the lap from the gods for Archie McDonald and Jake Lewis, which isn't going to happen. Eric Granado makes his way down through the final sector and into the chicane. But really, what we need is having a look at Archie McDonald, because McDonald is 1.3 seconds off and he's in the final sector. We'll have to wait and see exactly where he's going to end up. Archie McDonald is coming to the line very, very soon and does move up onto the second row of the grid. That's a great job by Archie McDonald. Gives himself a few extra metres, and Archie McDonald will complete that second row in 6th place. Like bye-bye Jake Lewis also moves up, so Jake Lewis will go into 9th place. That's the 3rd row of the grid for him. Corey West at the very back, 3.5 seconds off. This rider on your screen, Eric Granado, who makes it 3 poles from 3-0. Great job from the Brazilian, who over 1 lap in the Harley-Davidson Bagger World Cup. No one's getting near him.
Yeah, as you said, Kiko, undefeated in qualifying for this Baggers World Cup so far this year. Impressive record that from Eric Granado. Also impressive is the fact that he's come here on the back of 3 consecutive podiums. Consistency was never quite his strong suit in the MotoE World Championship, but switching across to Baggers machinery, apart from that little faux pas in the first race of the season in Kota when he crashed out of the fight for the lead, remonted and finished 6th. He has been a model of consistency. So Granado keeping that going here, and he has set himself up for a perfect chance of fighting for victory yet again here later on today for race 1.
He has been a bit susceptible though in his career too. A few unforced errors as Eric Granado. Granado so far in the last 3 races he was P2. He has been on pole in the first 3 races for the first 3 qualifying sessions of this year. His only blunder was from the lead, as you say, Neil, race 1 in the USA, and then he remounted to take 6th place. So Eric Granado, his pace has been there. He's yet to get those 25 championship points though for it. So whether or not he's going to edge a bit closer, we'll have to wait and see. But so far, so fast in qualifying trim.
Yeah, he's looked very good indeed. 0.3 of a second he had over Ian O'Neill. And Gutierrez 0.7 back in 3rd, with Jody Torres impressive in 4th. And not sure if you're looking at the contenders, I think you're hard pushed to look past that front of the grid. I think that will be the victory fight. Those 3 names there. Maybe Jody Torres can jump on to the back of them.
Yeah, I think Jody Torres has done very, very well there. With a 1 second off. On a 41.743, he's just 0.3 off a front row away from Oscar Gutierrez. If Torres can latch on, we know the pace is going to be quick in the race. Probably not quite on 40.6s, but there or thereabouts when it comes to, you know, race trim, lap after lap. I reckon that Jody Torres might well do a lot to do some learning this afternoon, and then it will be a case of applying tomorrow morning, Neil, because clearly we know that Jody Torres can get his elbows out and stick with it. He might be aging a little bit now in comparison to some of the riders on the grid, but with age comes experience.
Yes, that's what I keep telling myself anyway.
Yes, for me it just weight is coming, but never mind. Thankfully I'm only 27. God knows what I'm going to look like when I'm 37.
Well, there is how it feels to get another pole position in the books. Eric Granado takes the acclaim of his family members, his team members as well. 3 from 3 for the Brazilian. That is really how to do it. Granado is looking like the real deal in this Baggers World Cup so far this year. We do have a really juicy and interesting championship fight, don't we? Just 9 points covering the top 3 riders in the championship as it stands. Archie McDonald 3 clear of Granado with Gutierrez 9 back. Ian O'Neill 35 points back. Do we count him as a title contender?
I think we do. I think by the end of this one, and you can see Eric Granado and Andrea Iannone just down there in Performa. That's Oscar Gutierrez as well, getting his leathers off. But you can see that Andrea Iannone has obviously got the pace, he's got the speed, he's got the experience, he's got the nous, he's got the know-how, and as far as winning races goes. The question is whether or not there's some mistakes also in him, because we've seen Andrea Iannone in the past, not so much in MotoGP, let's say, but has been prone to make a couple of unforced is a problem. Obviously he came back as well straight into action with 2 long laps to do in race 1 over in Mugello, so probably still learning the rules and learning exactly where long lap penalty loops are. I bet he'll know for this weekend.
I hope he does. Yep, there was a little bit of confusion I think for Ian O'Neill in the first race in Mugello. Hopefully no such dramas. We're going to pass down to our colleague Elliot York just now, because he is with the rider that qualified 3rd. Oscar Gutierrez is with Hell.
Oscar, great job to put it on the front row after a difficult-ish day yesterday with the crash. How are you feeling first of all, and how confident are you now into race 1 later on and race 2 tomorrow, of course, as well?
Well, first of all, happy to be on the front row again. Yesterday was a difficult day for me. I had a massive crash on the last chicane. I had a lot of pain on my shoulder, on my neck also, but you know, we need to survive this weekend. We need points for the championship because I did a big mistake in Mugello. I just want to say sorry to the team because you know it was my mistake. But you know, I'm a guy of races. I don't like so much the qualifying, but you know, I will try to make a good race and hopefully be here again.
Great job and good luck for the race later on.
Thank you.
Cheers, El. Cheers, Oscar. Yeah, it's worth just reminding ourselves that Oscar Gutierrez did have quite a big blunder last time out in Mugello, crashing very, very early on in that one and costing himself some big points. Gutierrez came home in 10th place in the end. 6 points for that. Same mistake twice.
Yeah.
Same mistake twice.
Yeah. He's a rider that's come through some horrible injuries over the last year. And he'll be battered and bruised for the race today. But Ian Oney is not a rider that's battered and bruised. He is pretty delighted, it looks like, to be second on the grid, and he's in parc fermé with L.
Andrea, great effort to put it in the middle of the front row. You must be pretty pleased with that after the win in Mugello last time out. How confident are you of trying to fight for the win here in Assen as well?
So, since here is a little bit more difficult, I struggle a little bit more, so maybe in Italy we have a little bit more help because we are and everybody. So we will see. Today it's really spicy. It's spicy, and for sure we try to.
Good luck for the race later.
Ciao, guys.
Today is spicy. Neil, please fill us in on more one why.
I'm guessing he's referencing the temperature, the fact that it's going to...
No idea.
Yeah.
I don't think Andrea Iannone even knows what planet he's on sometimes, but oh, we love him. He's brilliant. Andrea Iannone is always box office, as is this guy. It's 3 poles from 3. Eric Granado maybe giving us some more insights on just how it is out there, perhaps. El, down to you.
Eric, great job. Congratulations. 3 poles in 3 rounds now in the Bagger World Cup. You must be super pleased. And Andrea just described it as spicy out there later on. How would you describe it in the race later on this afternoon?
Yes, I'm very happy. You know, from yesterday we had a great feeling on the bike. The team is doing amazing. I feel so good here in Assen. It's a really nice track and I'm enjoying a lot. For sure it will be a tough race. We have hot conditions. The track is really slippery, so we need to manage the rear tire. And yes, I did my best in the first laps, and unfortunately I couldn't do the second exit with the other tire. But anyway, we will be ready for the race, do the maximum and enjoy a lot. I hope the people here enjoy a lot also our show.
Well done, Eric. Well done.
Thank you. As always, I need to say em português. Bom, fizemos ótimo trabalho. Estou muito feliz com o resultado. Desde ontem me senti muito bem com a moto. A equipe está fazendo um ótimo trabalho comigo. E, bom, hoje deu o máximo nas primeiras voltas. Não consegui usar o segundo pneu. A gente teve um pequeno problema, mas vamos ajustar tudo para estar preparado para a corrida e fazer um bom show para a galera. É isso aí.
Good luck for later.
Valeu, valeu.
Thank you very much, Eric. Thank you very much, El. Eric Granado, your pole sitter, Neil. Is he the favourite going into Later's first race of the weekend, though? Or are we expecting Andrea Iannone to spice up a surprise, perhaps?
I think we can definitely rely upon Iannone to spice things up ever so slightly. But, yeah, after what we saw yesterday, Granado nearly a full second clear off the rest in practice and 3/10 clear off the rest in qualifying. I definitely think he starts as for this afternoon's race.
Well, I can't wait to get stuck into it. We are going to have 9 laps of Bagger World Cup action. It is going to be a belter. But these are your qualifying results, and it is Eric Granado who indeed does make it 3 poles from 3 ahead of Andrea Iannone, and then Oscar Gutierrez, Jordi Torres at the head of the second row, Filippo Rivelli there in 5th, Archie McDonald, battered and bruised, comes through for 6th. Veda Ega Pratama at the head of the 7th row, so it's a good job done by the Indonesian. Travis Wyman, Jake Lewis and Corey West, a trio of Americans rounding out the qualifying order. Sprint Saturday is continuing here at Assen. Moto3 qualifying is up next, followed by Moto2 and the Tissot Sprint itself. But the Bagger World Cup race on is coming up later on at 4 o'clock. Don't miss it. See you then.
Welcome to the red carpet.
Welcome to the Music Awards.
Round event. Rock US. This is
US Match 2026.
There it is! What a way to finish!
This is where the race begins.
From the first lap to the last corner. Every race matters.
Every moment counts.
No control, just adrenaline.
All in. This
is MotoGP.
The differences between wet and dry setup. In general, because the forces from the tires in the wet is less than the dry, you aim to get the behavior of the bike more or less the same in both conditions. So this means reducing the springs.
Personally, for me, with the rider preference, with a wet setup, it's more, I really like a soft feeling, something that's going to give me feedback. I'm not the biggest rider, so I find it hard to sometimes to generate grip. So making it as soft as possible is the best thing for me, really.
In the wet, we can change the springs and preload. We can sometimes change the gearing if that's appropriate. Also, for example, the swing arm length and, of course, the tires. It takes to change the bike from a wet to dry or dry to wet setting. Full setting change takes about 5 or 6 minutes. We also have what we call a flag-to-flag change.
Round 10 of the 2026 MotoGP season comes from the most legendary circuit on our calendar. The Cathedral of Speed answers MotoGP's need as we get set for the Dutch GP. Canals and tulip fields may be traditional postcard thoughts, but it's MotoGP that paints a pretty picture this weekend. Welcome to Sprint Saturday. Nine rounds ticked off, 13 to go, including this one, and they don't get much more iconic. The TT Circuit Assen has been a staple on the MotoGP calendar ever since the championship's inauguration in 1949. And we have seen, heard and experienced just about everything possible at this legendary venue. Counting down to the Tissot Sprint coming up at 3 o'clock local time. But between now and then, we've got the small matter of Moto3 and Moto2 qualifying. And of course, we get underway with the lightweight class. And what a crowd we have got in the house to enjoy it with. Q1 is coming up, meaning that just 4 places are up for grabs to move through and join the 14 riders already through into Q2 from practice. And there's some quite tasty names coming up in this next session, and it is so important because here at Assen, yes, we may well have big group races, but qualifying can decide, make or break your MotoGP weekend. The Dutch flags are flying high. The TT circuit, Assen, is gearing up for what is going to be a fantastic afternoon of MotoGP action. Coming up in this one, we've got a real started lineup. Matteo Bertelli is the rider who narrowly missed out yesterday. He's ahead of Casey O'Gorman, Jesus Rios, Scott Ogden, Zen Matani, Cormac Buchanan, Ruche Moodley, Joel Esteban, Veda Pratama, Nicola Carraro, Leo Ramersdorfer, and the surprise in last place yesterday in practice, Valentin Peroni. Only 4 can make it through, and it's time to find out exactly who will be in the top 4 graduate places. You're in the company of myself, Kiko Giles. Lewis Sotheby is next to me. Elliot York is in pit lane. I can't wait for this one, Lewis. Good afternoon.
Afternoon to you, Kiko. Afternoon to one and all watching around the world. Yeah, tasty Q1 session coming up, including the rider 6th in the World Championship. It hasn't necessarily stopped Veda Pratama so far this season. Went through Q1 in Jerez, ended up finishing in 5th place. Was knocked out in Q1 in Barcelona to finish inside the top 7, so it's by no means panic stations for Veda Pratama, who was in this session by virtue of a crash in practice yesterday.
And last weekend, although he qualified 8th, he started way down on the 7th row of the grid, was straight into the top 6 in the opening laps in the lead group. Veda Pratama can come through if qualifying doesn't go his way, as can Casey O'Gorman. The problem that Casey has had is that actually it's not so much the speed, it's the staying on 2 wheels, Lewis. A few too many crashes in 2026, but he is a rookie, and he's a fast one.
Yeah, fast, but a little airy, hasn't he, in recent times, Casey O'Gorman, crashing out of the leading group in Brno. What was a fantastic leading group to watch, with 2 rookies involved in it. Should have been 3 in the latter stages, unfortunately for O'Gorman. No fractures as a result of that crash, and we understand no further injuries done by his crash yesterday in practice. He will also be heavily favoured to come through this session.
Joel Esteban for the 3rd time in Malaysia last year, so this is a real collector's item, not one that he'll want to be collecting too much often in 2026. Valentin Peroni, who, let's be fair, wasn't too bad this morning, but still we know he's got a bit more than where he's been at so far this weekend. The 73 on your screen.
7th quickest this morning. He did improve by 1.4 seconds on what he did yesterday. Clearly not a straightforward session for Peroni, because he's clearly a better rider than P26 and a second and a half off the pace, so we'll keep a close eye on the Argentine in this session as we now click forward. This is down through or past the Wienschlang and into turns 6 and 7 with the 78 of Joel Esteban.
I was just about to say, one thing to keep an eye on here is going to be yellow flags and track limits. We've got yellow flags. This is over at turn. So it's very up and down at turn 5 by courtesy of the fact it's so slow. But that's a great shame for Ruche Moodley, who has shown plenty of promise and potential this weekend.
Yeah, let's have a look. He looked like he was a little offline coming into turn 5 there. He was certainly offline by the time the KTM